What if I told you that in 2025, with inflation still biting hard, rents through the roof, and wages barely keeping up, a growing number of women are openly admitting on podcasts and viral TikToks and in street interviews that they now see men primarily as walking ATMs to survive? And what if I showed you the exact clips where they say it out loud without a hint of shame while simultaneously claiming they don't need a man? Stick with me to the very end, because by the time this video is over, you'll not only see the undeniable pattern that's pushing millions of good men to finally walk away for good, but you'll also understand why this shift might be the healthiest thing that's happened to masculinity in decades. If you're getting value already and you want more no filter angry guy breakdowns like this, smash that like button right now, share this video with every brother you know who needs to hear it, and subscribe with notifications on so you never miss when I drop truth bombs. And listen, if you're tired of being caught off guard in this financial war zone we're all living through, go check out Angry's Crypto Academy, linked down in the description below. That's where I teach you step by step how to actually buy, sell, trade, and most importantly, protect your crypto assets so no one, not the government, not the banks, and definitely not someone who sees you as a meal ticket, can take what you've worked for. The academy is in the description. Pause this video and click it right now. You'll thank me later. Let me paint the picture for you, because this didn't happen overnight. This is years in the making, and it's hitting critical mass right now in late 2025. Go back to 2019, 2020. Most people still bought into the mainstream narrative that women were out earning men, shattering glass ceilings, becoming bosses, and that any man who pointed out red flags was just bitter or insecure. We were told independence was the ultimate goal for women. Fair enough. A lot of us cheered that on. But then the world changed. Pandemic, lockdowns, massive job losses, especially in service and retail sectors where huge numbers of women worked. Remote work favored certain industries that skewed male. Then came the inflation wave that still hasn't fully broken. Groceries up 40, 50% in some categories. Rent in major cities jumping 20, 30, even 50% in a single year. Dating apps kept matching, but the expectations never adjusted downward. Now, fast forward to today. We're seeing something I've been calling the Great Economic Reckoning, and it's exposing a truth that a lot of people spent years denying. Women, particularly in that 25 to 35 age range, the ones who were told they could have it all, the career, the independence, the fun lifestyle, are now quietly, and sometimes not so quietly, broke, not just tight on cash. Broke as in choosing between rent and food. Broke as in maxed credit cards and student loans that never went away. Broke as in realizing that the boss babe dream sold to them on Instagram doesn't pay the bills when the economy flips upside down. And what's their solution? Not doubling down on skills, not relocating to cheaper areas, not starting side hustles that actually make money. No. A shocking number have defaulted to the oldest playbook in existence: find a man who will pay. But here's what makes this moment different from anything we've seen before. They're admitting it openly, not whispering it to their girlfriends, not hiding it. They're saying it on microphones, on camera, to millions of viewers with a straight face. Let me take you through some of these clips one by one, because I want you to hear it in their own words. I want you to feel the shift that's happening in real time. First example that went nuclear a few months ago, there's this podcast, one of the big female hosted ones, where a guest casually drops that she and all her friends have a group chat dedicated to ranking the men they're dating based on how much they spend on them. Not how good the guy is, not compatibility, not character, literally a leaderboard based on who pays for the most vacations, the best dinners, the rent when things get tight. And the host laughs and agrees. No pushback, no, wait, that's not right, just normalization. Then you have the TikTok trend that blew up over the summer. Women filming themselves saying things like, I'm not broke, I'm just pre-rich, and my boyfriend is the venture capitalist funding my lifestyle. Or dating requirement must make six figures because my salary is for fun money only. And these aren't fringe accounts with a few thousand views. These are millions and millions of views, likes from other women saying this is the standard now. One clip in particular that I have to break down for you, there's a street interview where the interviewer asks a woman in her late 20s, dressed to the nines, designer bag, the whole thing. He asks, "How do you afford your lifestyle?" And without missing a beat, she says, "I have sponsors." Interviewer, sponsors? Her, yeah, men who pay my bills so I don't have to work a 9 to 5 I hate. And she says it with pride, like it's empowerment. Pause on that for a second, rewind 10 years. Would any woman have said that on camera and posted it publicly? Almost zero chance. They would have been called out immediately. But today, the comments are filled with women saying, queen behavior, and this is how it's done. And it's not just online, it's bleeding into real life at an alarming rate. Men are reporting, and I'm hearing this daily in my DMs, in the comments from brothers in real life, that first dates now come with an expectation of $100 plus tabs as the bare minimum. That women will straight up ask on dating apps, "What's your salary?" within the first 10 messages. That if you suggest something low key like coffee or a walk, you're instantly labeled cheap and nexted. One story that stuck with me, a guy I know personally, solid 6 figure engineer, good looking, fit, the kind of dude who used to have options. He matched with a girl on Hinge. They talk for a few days. She suggests dinner at one of the most expensive steakhouses in the city for a first date. He counters with something more reasonable. Her response? "I don't do cheap dates. If you can't afford to take me out properly, stay home." He showed me the screenshots. This wasn't some influencer with a blue check. This was a regular 28-year-old marketing coordinator making maybe 60 grand a year. That's the disconnect. The expectations never came down to match the new economic reality. They only went up. Now let's talk about the soft launch version of this, the ones who won't say it directly, but their actions scream it. The women who claim they're independent, post gym selfies, and hustle culture quotes, but somehow never pay for anything when they're with a man. The ones who move in after 3 months because rent is too high, but contribute nothing to the bills. The ones who want 50-50 when it's convenient, but traditional when it's beneficial to them. I've seen grown men, providers, hardworking guys, reduced to shelling out thousands a month to keep a woman around who gives the bare minimum in return. And when the man finally says, "I'm tapped out," she's gone the next week to the next sponsor. This is why the phrase high value man has become the ultimate joke in men's spaces. Because what does it actually mean now in 2025? It means human wallet. It means someone who will finance a lifestyle that social media convinced her she deserves, regardless of whether she brings anything comparable to the table. And brothers, let's be crystal clear. This isn't about hating women. This isn't about saying women shouldn't have standards or want nice things. This is about honesty. This is about reciprocity. This is about a system that spent years telling men they were disposable while simultaneously making them the only reliable safety net when everything else fails. Because when the economy gets tough, who do they turn to? Not their female friends, not the government programs that were supposedly going to replace men, not their independence. They turn to men, and they expect those same men, the ones they spent years calling toxic, telling they weren't needed, shaming for wanting traditional roles. They expect those men to step up and pay without complaint. That's the ultimate hypocrisy that's breaking the social contract for good. I want you to think about the young guy watching this right now, maybe 22, 23, just starting out. He's been told his whole life that if he works hard, builds himself up, he'll be rewarded with a good woman who values him. Now he looks around and sees that the reward for success is becoming a target. The more he grinds, the more he's expected to finance someone else's lifestyle while getting resentment if he asks for basic respect or loyalty in return. No wonder the stats are what they are. Marriage rates collapsing, birth rates in free fall, men opting out of dating entirely at rates we've never seen before, passports getting stamped, gym memberships skyrocketing, bank accounts growing because there's no one draining them. This is the men walking away movement in its purest form. Not out of bitterness, though, yeah, some of that is earned, but out of simple self preservation. Hey guys, in a world pushing you to own nothing and be happy, crypto is your key to survival. Join Angry's Crypto Academy to master buying, selling, and trading crypto. Make huge profits and safeguard your wealth. Plus, discover the one crypto virtually no one is talking about, poised to create new millionaires in the upcoming bull run. The link is in the description of the video below. Go check it out now. Let me read you some comments I've received just in the last month because these are real men living this reality. One guy wrote, "Angry, I was making 180,000, had a girl living with me for 2 years paying zero rent, zero bills, complained when I asked her to chip in for groceries. Found out she was saving everything to buy a condo in her name only. I'm done. Sold everything and moved to Thailand. Best decision I ever made." Another, "Dated a girl for 8 months. Every date I paid. Birthdays, Christmas, I went all out. She made more than me, actually. When I lost my job temporarily, she dumped me in 2 weeks saying she couldn't handle the stress. I haven't dated since. Like, peace is priceless." These aren't isolated stories anymore. This is the norm for a huge percentage of men who try to do it the right way. And the craziest part? When men start walking away, when they stop playing Captain Save a Princess, the narrative flips immediately. Suddenly, we're the bad guys for having boundaries. Suddenly, it's where have all the good men gone? Suddenly, the same women who said they didn't need a man are making TikToks crying that men won't approach anymore. You can't have it both ways. You can't spend years celebrating independence and then demand traditional provision when independence doesn't pay the bills. You can't mock men for wanting to lead and then expect them to pay when the check comes. This is the reckoning. And that, brothers, is exactly where the rubber meets the road. We're not talking about a few broke college girls trying to get a free meal anymore. We're talking about an entire generation of women in their prime earning years who were sold the "I am the table" fantasy, took out six figures in student loans for degrees that don't pay, spent their 20s on rental apartments in the trendiest zip codes and bottomless brunches, posted the girl boss memes, and now the bill has arrived. And instead of looking in the mirror and saying, maybe I need to adjust my lifestyle, learn a high income skill, or heaven forbid, move somewhere affordable, the new strategy is simple: weaponize dating. Find a man, any man, who still believes in the old rules, lock him down as fast as possible, and transfer the weight of that lifestyle directly onto his shoulders. And the wildest part, they're not even pretending anymore. Let me take you deeper into the timeline so you can see how fast this flipped. Early 2023, you still had the tail end of the "men are trash, I don't need no man" era dominating social media. Podcasts full of women bragging they'd rather be single than settle. TikToks of girls dancing to "I buy my own diamonds, I pay my own bills." Cool. Nobody was mad at genuine independence. Then 2024 hits. Inflation refuses to die. Corporate layoffs start rippling through tech, marketing, HR, all the fields where a lot of these women were clustered. Remote jobs dry up, right? Rents in places like Austin, Miami, Denver, Nashville, cities that exploded with young single women post pandemic, Meto, jump another 25 to 40% in a single lease cycle. Credit card debt for women under 35 spikes to all time highs. Quietly, behind the scenes, the math stops mathing. By mid 2024, the tone online starts shifting. The first soft admissions appear. You'll see a video titled "Why I Let My Boyfriend Pay for Everything," and it still has the feminist packaging: reparations for the patriarchy, healing my divine feminine by receiving all that word salad. But the core message is crystal clear: I can't afford my life, so he has to. Then late 2024 into 2025, it goes from soft to hard. No more dressing it up. Now it's, if he can't finance my lifestyle, he's not a real man. My salary is for nails and vacations. His salary is for rent and groceries. Thing to marry rich is self-care. And here's the clip that really broke the internet about 6 weeks ago, early October 2025. There's this one podcast, three women in their early 30s, all childless, all claiming six-figure careers on paper. One of them straight up says, and I quote, look, the economy is in the toilet for regular people. I'm not about to downgrade my life because corporate America is greedy. That's why I have a roster. I have the guy who pays my car note, the guy who pays my rent, the guy who funds the girls' trips, and the guy I actually like who doesn't have to pay for anything because the others already handled the bills. The other two die laughing and high five her. 48 hours later, that clip has 25 million views across platforms, and the comment sections are a war zone. Half the women calling her a queen, the other half calling her everything but a child of God, and men just sitting there stunned that this is now being celebrated out in the open. That was the moment a lot of guys told me the switch flipped permanently in their heads. Not anger, clarity, cold, sharp clarity. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. You start noticing the patterns everywhere. You open Hinge or Bumble in any major city right now, and half the prompts read like job applications for a sugar baby, looking for someone who loves to spoil his queen. My love language is acts of service and Venmo requests. If you have to ask what my standards are, you can't afford them. I've got screenshots upon screenshots from subscribers, dudes making 120,000, 150,000, 200,000, who get told on the first message, I only date top 1% men, by women who work part-time at Lululemon. And the passport bros, the digital nomads, the guys moving to Colombia, Thailand, Philippines, Eastern Europe, they're not running from responsibility, they're running from exploitation. Because in those places, a man who makes 60 to 80,000 remote can still live and live like a king and date women who are genuinely excited to build something together, not women who see him as a liquidity event. Let me tell you about Marcus, real guy, gave me permission to share this. 32 years old, software developer, pulling about 170,000 in the Midwest. Solid money for his area. Starts dating this 29-year-old marketing manager in Chicago. She insists on flying out to see him almost every weekend. Flights, Ubers, five-star hotels, bottle service, the whole production. 6 months in, she's dropping hints about moving in together, but in Chicago, not his city. He runs the numbers. Her rent alone would eat 45% of his take home if he moved there. He asked if she'd consider relocating somewhere more affordable together. Her response? I'm not downgrading my lifestyle for any man. My 9 she's got $80,000 in student loans and 22% credit card interest. He ended it. 2 weeks later, she's on Instagram with a new guy who apparently makes 400,000 plus. Marcus told me the relief he felt walking away was physical, like a literal weight lifted off his chest. That's happening thousands of times a day now. Or take Alex, another real story. Makes 140,000 in Texas, owns his home outright, no debt, lifting, good social circle, meets a girl, 27, teacher, says she's traditional, wants a family, the whole package. 3 months in, she moves in temporarily because her roommate situation fell through. Temporary turns into 2 years. She contributes exactly zero to the mortgage, utilities, or groceries, uses her entire paycheck for clothes, lashes, and girls' trips. When he finally sits her down and says, look, if we're building a life, we need to be partners, she cries, calls him controlling, and moves out the same week, straight into the apartment of a guy she'd been just friends with who apparently had no problem paying 100%. Alex told me he sat in his quiet house the night she left and smiled for the first time in 18 months. These are not the exceptions anymore. These are the rule. And the data backs it up. If you look at the consumer debt numbers broken down by gender and age, women 25 to 34 are now carrying record levels of credit card debt, personal loans, and buy now, pay later balances, way higher than men in the same bracket. Why? Because for years they've been able to externalize the cost of their lifestyle choices onto men, onto parents, onto credit. And now all those options are maxed out at the exact same time. So when you hear women on podcasts saying men aren't dating anymore, where did all the good men go? Understand what they're really saying is, where did all the men who are willing to finance my Instagram life without asking questions go? They didn't disappear. They woke up, they're in the gym at 5 a.m. They're stacking crypto. They're getting passports. They're building businesses. They're living in peace. and they're not looking back. Because here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. When you treat an entire gender like a resource to be extracted from, eventually that resource learns to protect itself. Men are doing that right now at scale. I want you to imagine something with me for a second. Imagine if the roles were reversed tomorrow. Imagine if millions of men started openly bragging on podcasts that they only date women for free housing, free food, and emotional labor while contributing nothing. Imagine men ranking women based on how much they're willing to spend and calling it high value behavior. The internet would burn to the ground in outrage. There would be congressional hearings. Hashtags would trend for months. But when women do it, it's a TED talk. That double standard is collapsing under its own weight. And the collapse is beautiful because every day a man walks away, he sends a message louder than any argument ever could. Every day a man chooses peace over performance, solitude over sponsorship, self respect over simping. The market corrects a little more. And yes, some women will adapt. Some women will see the writing on the wall, lower their expectations to reality, bring real value to the table, and find good men who are happy to build with them. Those women will be fine. Those women will thrive. But the ones who refuse, the ones still holding out for a unicorn who makes 300K plus, is 6'4", shredded, and willing to finance brunch and Bali trips while she finds herself. They're going to learn a very harsh lesson in the next 2 to 5 years, and it's a lesson no amount of manifesting or vision boards can override. Reality always collects. We're already seeing the first wave of panic content. You've got 34, 35-year-old women who spent their 20s in situationships with millionaires now making tearful videos titled, "I Thought I Had More Time," or "Why Won't Men Commit Anymore?" And the answer is staring them right in the face because you trained an entire generation that commitment from a man is just an invitation to bleed him dry. So, to every man watching this right now, whether you're 22 and just starting out, 30 and rebuilding, or 40 and finally seeing clearly, hear me when I say this. You do not owe anyone your resources just because you were born male. You do not owe anyone a lifestyle you didn't co create. Your peace, your purpose, and your paycheck are yours until you decide freely, enthusiastically, and with full reciprocity to share them. The era of unpaid emotional labor and one sided financial provision is over. We are in the middle of the greatest male opt out in modern history. And it's not being driven by hate, it's being driven by love, self love. That's the part they'll never understand until it's too late. Let's go even deeper now, because what we're witnessing isn't just a dating market glitch. It's a full blown civilizational pivot. And if you understand the layers, you'll never again feel guilty for protecting your time, your energy, and your bank account. Layer one is the psychological layer. For the last 15 years, women have been bombarded with a very specific script. You are enough exactly as you are. Your value is inherent. Any man who asks you to bring something concrete to the table is a misogynist. Therapy, speak your way out of accountability, and above all, never settle. That messaging worked when the economy was printing money and Instagram filters made everyone feel like a 10. But feelings don't pay rent. When the credit cards max out and the likes stop translating into actual security, that script collides with biology and thousands of years of evolutionary wiring. Women still want, on average, a man who is taller, stronger, higher status, and yes, a provider. That never went away. What changed is society told them they could get all the benefits of that provider energy without offering the traditional trade offs that used to balance the equation: loyalty, respect, femininity, homemaking, genuine appreciation, sexual exclusivity, peace. So now you have millions of women running a strategy that is simultaneously hyper traditional, he must pay for everything, and hyper modern, but I owe him nothing in return. That hybrid monster only survives as long as there are enough men willing to play along. The second those men vanish, The whole house of cards folds. Layer two is the macroeconomic layer. We are in the longest stretch of real wage stagnation combined with asset and cost of living inflation in 50 years. Homes that cost 300K in 2019 are 800K today in many desirable areas. A middle class lifestyle for two people now requires roughly 150 to 200,000 household income in most major metros just to not feel squeezed. But single women aged 25 to 34 have a median income of about 48,000 and median net worth under 10,000 once you strip out the car. Single men in the same bracket, median income roughly 62,000 and net worth closer to 28,000 because we didn't have the same social permission to spend every disposable dollar on experiences and aesthetics. So the gap in actual financial firepower is already massive before you even get to the table. Then layer on the fact that women initiate 70 to 80% of divorces and usually walk away with cash and prizes. And you understand why any man who's been paying attention is asking himself, why the hell would I sign up to finance someone who statistically is likely to leave the second a better option texts her? Layer three is the technological layer. Dating apps destroyed organic pairing. They turned the sexual marketplace into a pure looks and money auction. The top 10% of men get 90% of the attention, which means the bottom 80% of men are essentially invisible. And the remaining 10% who are visible but not Chad level are treated like utilities. Swipe apps also train women to view men as infinitely replaceable. Used to be you met a guy through friends or work, you had mutual accountability. Now it's an endless conveyor belt of options. So why invest in or appreciate the current one when the next might be taller, richer, or more exciting? That mindset leaks into real life even when people meet offline now. All three layers have collided at once. And the result is the most lopsided relationship market in recorded history. That's why you're seeing this explosion of public honesty from women. They're not evil, they're desperate. The mask is off because the old strategies aren't working anymore. The high earning, loyal guys aren't lining up to wife up the 32-year-old with the body count of a rock star and the debt of a small country. The government isn't riding in with UBI checks big enough to fund the Miami rooftop brunches. Mom and dad's basement isn't cute anymore. So the only remaining move is to double down on extracting resources from men while simultaneously shaming those same men for noticing the extraction is happening. And that's where the rage bait cycle kicks in. Every time a woman goes viral saying, I deserve to be spoiled because I exist, it triggers a wave of men finally saying, cool, I choose peace instead. Every time a podcast of six women laughs about having rosters and sponsors, another 10,000 men delete the apps, book a flight, or just pour that energy into themselves. The outrage content you see me and others making, it's not creating the walkaway movement. It's just documenting it in real time. Let me tell you about Derek's story because it's the perfect case study of what happens when a man finally gets it. Derek is 35, civil engineer, 195,000 salary, no debt, house paid off in a mid-sized Texas city. Classic good guy. Spent his 20s and early 30s chasing the blue pill dream. Be the provider, be the nice guy, wife up the good girl. Meet Sarah in 2021. She's 30, former teacher turned influencer. Read 8,000 followers, makes maybe 2,000 a month on sponsored posts. Red flags from day one, but Derek ignores them because she's hot and says all the right traditional things early on. They get married in 2023. Within 6 months, she's quit all work because building the brand is a full-time job. And as a wife, I should be able to focus on the home. Except the home is spotless because they have a cleaner Derek pays for, meals are HelloFresh Derek pays for, and her brand is still pulling 2,000 a month while Derek covers the 7,000 monthly burn rate. 2 years in, she starts dropping hints about wanting a baby, but only if they upgrade to a bigger house in a fancier neighborhood first. Derek runs the numbers. That move would add 4,000 a month to the mortgage. He says, "Let's wait, stack more cash. Maybe she could contribute a little in the meantime." She loses her mind, calls him controlling, unsupportive, not a real man, starts sleeping in the guest room. 3 months later, she files for divorce, moves in with some tech bro who apparently has no problem financing the upgrade. Derek gets raked in the divorce because Texas still has some provider laws on the books. Walks away with about 40% of what he went in with after lawyers. He called me literally broken. First words out of his mouth: "I did everything society told me to do, and I still got destroyed." 6 months later, Derek is 30 pounds lighter, benching 315 passport, has 6 new stamps, bank account is already back above where it was pre-marriage because nothing is bleeding out every month. He's dating a 26-year-old dental hygienist in Medellin who cooks for him, respects him, and thinks paying her own phone bill is normal. He told me last week, quote, "I spent years thinking walking away made me a loser. Turns out it made me free." Multiply Derek by 100,000. That's what's happening right now. Or look at the macro numbers coming out this month, November 2025. The Census Bureau just dropped fresh data. Marriage rates for under 30s hit a new all time low. Birth rates projected to drop another 8% next year. Record percentage of men 18 to 35 reporting zero sex in the past year, higher than it's ever been. And for the first time ever, single men under 40 have higher median net worth and higher happiness scores than single women in the same bracket. Let that sink in. The group that spent 2 decades being called losers, incels, and man children is now winning the actual game, while the group that was celebrated as having it all is openly panicking on social media. This is what collapse of a social contract looks like. It doesn't happen with guns or revolutions. It happens when one side quietly stops participating. And the coping mechanisms are already in full swing. You've got articles in Cosmo and Vogue titled "Why Men Aren't Approaching Anymore" that somehow never mention the $400 first date expectations. You've got relationship coaches telling women to raise their standards even higher, right as the wall becomes visible at 150 miles per hour. You've got dating app companies quietly rolling out features to hide height and income filters because the backlash is getting too loud. You've got women in the comments of every red pill video screaming, "Not all women are like that," while simultaneously defending the women who are exactly like that. But here's the best part: none of that matters anymore. The men who get it have already tuned out the noise. They're not arguing on the internet. They're not trying to convince anyone. They're just gone, living their lives, building wealth, traveling, lifting, stacking skills, enjoying peace that most married men can only dream of. I want you to really hear this next part because it's the core of everything I'm about. Walking away isn't punishment, it's protection. Walking away isn't bitterness, it's boundaries. Walking away isn't weakness, it's the ultimate power move. Because the second you stop making yourself available to people who don't value you, you force the market to recalibrate. And it is recalibrating faster than most people realize. Women who still have common sense, humility, and genuine partner energy, they're getting snatched up quicker than ever by men who are thrilled to provide when the deal is fair. The rest, they're going to spend the next decade making increasingly desperate content until the message finally lands. So, if you're watching this and you've been hurt, used, drained, ghosted after you paid for everything, know that your pain had a purpose. It was the tuition you paid to learn the game. And now that you know, you never have to play it again. You get to write a new contract, one where respect is mutual, effort is reciprocal, and love isn't a synonym for ATM. That's the real red pill. Not hate, not hopelessness, freedom. We're a long way from done, brothers. There's still the spiritual side of this, the biological reversal that's coming, the success stories flooding my inbox every single day, and the final prophecy of where this all leads in the next 5 to 10 years. I'm going to lay it all out for you. Keep going, brothers, because now we're stepping into the part that almost nobody is talking about yet, the spiritual dimension of this walkaway wave. This isn't just economics. This isn't just dating apps gone wrong. This is a full blown spiritual reclamation of masculine energy that has been under attack for decades. For the last 50 years, men have been told, subtly at first, then louder and louder, that their natural drive to protect, to provide, to build, to lead was actually the root of all evil. That wanting to be strong made you toxic. That wanting a peaceful home and a loyal woman made you controlling. That sacrificing for your family made you a patriarchal oppressor. We were fed shame as a staple diet. And millions of good men internalized that shame and kept showing up anyway, paying the bills, holding the door, working the overtime, proposing with the big ring, walking into family court knowing the deck was stacked. Because deep down, we still believed it was the right thing to do. We still believed in duty, in honor, in manning up. And what did we get for it? Mocked on national television, called simps on TikTok, drained dry and discarded the second our utility ran out. That's what's happening right now in late 2025 is the collective masculine soul finally saying, no more. This is exorcism in slow motion. Every man who deletes the dating apps, cancels the situationship, moves to a new country, or simply chooses the gym and his brotherhood over another draining entanglement is performing an act of spiritual warfare. He's pulling his energy back from a system that was designed to harvest it. And when enough men do that at the same time, something metaphysical shifts. You can feel it in the air. There's a calmness returning to men that hasn't existed in generations, a quiet confidence, a peace that doesn't need external validation. I've had brothers in their 40s message me crying, actual tears, because for the first time since they were teenagers, they woke up without dread. No manipulative texts, no walking on eggshells, no mental calculus of how much today's peace is going to cost them tomorrow. Just silence and purpose and the sound of plates clinking in the gym at 5 a.m. That's what real power feels like. Now let's talk about the biological reversal that's coming because Mother Nature is undefeated and she's about to remind everyone of that in the most brutal way possible. We're already seeing the first tremors. Fertility clinics in every major Western city are at capacity, not with 38-year-old men, but with 35 to 42-year-old women who spent their prime years on the roster and now can't get pregnant. Egg freezing parties that were sold as empowerment in 2018 are turning into horror stories in 2025 because even the frozen eggs aren't producing healthy embryos at the rates they promised. The average age of first birth for college educated women just hit 34 and is still climbing. And every month that clock ticks louder, another 1,000 women wake up to the cold reality that the have it all timeline was a lie sold to them by people who hated them. I want you to picture the next 5 years. By 2030, the women who are 32 today, the ones still holding out for the magical 6'5" doctor who makes 500,000 and has no boundaries, will be 37. The ones who are 37 today will be 42. And the panic you're seeing now in scattered TikToks is going to turn into a category 5 hurricane of regret content. We're talking millions of women with master's degrees, corporate titles, and empty wombs making videos titled, I was lied to. And where are all the men who want to build a family? And the answer is going to be they're already married to the 26-year-old nurse who treated them with respect 5 years ago when you wouldn't even give them the time of day. That's not a prediction. That's math. And the craziest part, a lot of those men won't even hate them. They'll just be indifferent. Because once you've tasted peace, Going back to chaos, even beautiful, repentant chaos, feels like suicide. Let me read you some of the success stories pouring into my inbox every single day because these are the receipts that this isn't theory. This is real life. Tyler, 29, former simp extraordinaire, spent years chasing Instagram models in LA, dropping thousands on dates, bottles, trips. Finally hit rock bottom when a girl he was exclusive with asked him to pay her rent while she went to Tulum with another dude. He ghosted the entire scene, moved back home to Ohio, got jacked, started a pressure washing business that's now clearing 18,000 a month profit, met a 19-year-old cashier at the grocery store who thinks he hung the moon. Engaged in 8 months. She cooks, cleans, rubs his back after 14-hour days, and tells him every night how grateful she is that a man like him exists. Tyler's exact words: I spent years trying to buy love from women who hated me. Now I get it for free from one who worships the ground I walk on. Jordan, 33, New York finance bro, making mid six figures, had a revolving door of models and influencers who treated him like a lifestyle subsidy. One finally pushed for marriage. After he paid off her 60,000 credit card debt, he proposed. She still cheated 2 months before the wedding. Jordan kept the ring, sold it, used the money to buy a one-way ticket to Bali. Been there 18 months now, runs his trading desk remotely, surfs every morning, dates local women and expat women who are thrilled to split a $12 dinner. Bank account higher than it's ever been. Says he cries sometimes from how peaceful his life is now. Mike, 41, divorced, lost a house, the kids half the time, paying alimony and child support that eats 60% of his income, was suicidal 2 years ago, started lifting, reading, stacking crypto on the side. Custody agreement just got modified because his ex's new boyfriend moved in and the kids hate him. Mike got primary custody. Ex is now begging to work things out because child support is about to drop to zero. Mike told her politely to pound sand. Has full custody, a promotion at work, and a 28-year-old traditional Latina girlfriend who moved in and turned his house into a home for the first time in a decade. He says walking away from the marriage was hard. Walking toward his new life was the easiest thing he ever did. These stories aren't rare anymore. They're the new normal for men who decide they're done being resources. And that's the final prophecy I want to leave you with before we close this out. In the next 10 years, we're going to see the emergence of two very different worlds existing side by side. World A, the collapsing Western gynocracy, where women who bought the lie hit the wall at warp speed, birth rates go off a cliff, taxes skyrocket to pay for all the single mothers and cat ladies, and a small percentage of ultra high value men live like sultans with harems of desperate aging women willing to do anything for scraps of commitment. World B, pockets of intense masculine renewal. Men building parallel societies, gym communities, crypto bro compounds, expat enclaves abroad, rural homesteads, faith based brotherhoods, where peace, purpose, and fair deals with women still exist, where a man's word is still his bond, where children are raised by two parents who actually like each other, where provision is met with gratitude instead of entitlement. World A will scream louder and louder on social media. World B will just quietly keep building. And here's the secret: World B is already bigger than they want you to believe. It's growing exponentially while World A shrinks. Every day, another 1,000 men cross over and never look back. So if you're still on the fence, still thinking maybe she'll change, still hoping the next one will be different, understand that hope is the drug they've been selling you to keep you in the matrix just a little longer. The door is wide open right now. All you have to do is walk through it. Your peace is waiting, and your purpose is waiting, and your brothers are waiting. And trust me, once you're on the other side, you'll wonder why you ever waited this long. That's all I've got for you today, fellas. This one was long because the truth needed room to breathe. What did you think about everything we just went through? Did any part of this hit you square in the chest? Are you already living the walkaway life? Or did today finally push you over the edge? Drop your story in the comments. I read every single one, and the community here lifts each other up like you wouldn't believe. Like the video, if you like it, don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away, and cheers.
Nothing says you care like crypto. Nothing can compare. Nothing says you care like crypto. Oh, nothing can compare to crypto.